Hi everyone, I'm Carl Burok. Welcome back to the Jaguar Football Podcast. And here we are sitting going into week number 4. And Coach Baer, very good to see you. Exciting game on last Friday at the Valley. We're going to break it down. We'll also talk about our upcoming opponent for week 4. But wanted to just get your thoughts about what you saw last week against Northwest.
Yeah, Carl, good to be here. Really all around complete football game from our football team on Friday against Northwest. The only other Class 6 Jefferson County school in the area. So it's good to kind of go toe to toe with those guys each year, kind of a measuring stick of kind of where we're at, when it comes to local teams. And, I really thought we played a great game. Defensively, we talked a little bit about it. Their quarterback, he's a load. He's a big boy, and he's somebody we knew we needed to respect in the run game. He had 8 touchdowns throughout the first 2 weeks of the season. One of the leading guys, or actually the leading rusher and scorer in the area. We were able to limit it to 1. He had about 2 or 3 long runs. He had one touchdown. He's just a guy we needed more than one guy to bring down at times. And we did a great job. Once we kind of shut down their run, and they had to shift to a little bit of their passing. Our DBs did a great job staying downfield and getting it done. So, and then all the while, you got the D line giving the rush, squeezing their gaps, and really giving them no lanes to run in. So great to see there. And then, hey, if you're watching the game, you kind of see, where the evolution once again of our offense, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But just the balance, right? Having the ability to pass, and then also softening teams up and having the ability to run. And that's always been where we've been trying to get this offense, and it was good to get there this week, and happy to break a little bit of that down with you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. That was like the most un-Seckman-like game that I've paid close attention to in the last 4 years, and it seems like the ball was spread around a lot. It just wasn't, focused maybe on one player. It seems like, the ball was spread around.
Yeah, hey, we've broken it down a few times on here. Why don't we pass more? What are we doing? But we talked about all the things it takes, right? Starts with protection. We've had some pretty good protection here the last couple weeks from the quarterback. Obviously, we have to have the arm strength and the timing, right, and the discipline to know which side you need to go to and what you're looking for from the safeties or the corners, and then it comes down to the receivers. Can you create space? Can you create that space needed? And then can you catch the ball and make plays after? And right now, we have a really good formula with that, with about 3 or 4 different guys. And, when you have 3 or 4 different guys the team has to respect, it's easier to get the ball out, right? If you only have one guy that they're really worried about, in the passing game, it's easier to defend. When you got to defend 2 or 3 guys, it makes it all harder. And right now, we're at that perfect combination. And it all came together, and we executed great on Friday night. So if you want to take me to my clicker here, Carl, I kind of show it. This is, I believe, the first play of the game. Passing games, all about protection, timing, and creating that space. All right. And, Northwest, they're going to play a single high safety. What that allows you to do is bring another guy down in the box. You see him right here. Okay. Bring another guy down the box to stop the run. That's what Seckman does. Now look what we got. We got one-on-one matchups. All right. Quarterback figures out which one does he like more. Well, which side has the extra guy on it? Right here. So we know we're coming over here. You're going to get a good hitch route. All right. You're going to see that ball come out before the receivers even turn. And this is a pretty tough route to defend. All right. Kyler Huckfeld, I've told you guys before, he just makes plays with the ball. He gets a little bit of space, makes one guy miss. Man, I thought he was going for 6 here. But we're not calling these masterful passing plays. That was a hitch route. Everybody has a hitch route. Come down a little bit later into the game. Okay, this was kind of a trips look here. We got a guy out wide, receiver, wing, tight end here. 4 verts is a very popular concept, especially in like your passing offenses, your West Coast. We're not running 4 verts here, but this is as close as we'll get to it as far as trying to cover all 4 zones here of the defense. And you're going to see, as I'll draw that one a little bit later, how we're able to do this in our route concepts. All right. We're really trying to put this safety in a conflict. He's got to make a choice, and wherever he makes that choice, we're going to go to. So you're going to see this play develop. Okay, number one, look at that pass pro. Look at this. That's exactly what we want. We got the quarterback back here. All right, you get the vertical concept here. We get a little bit of a wheel route right here. We're going to get a post route here. And you're going to get another corner route over here. He's holding this safety. This is the guy we're putting in conflict. You're going to see him run with Nick. He's just going to be late because he's left with a decision, right? Because you're going to see Kyler. He'll pop open right here too when we come back later in the game. So quarterback does a great job. Now you see this separation, easy pitch and catch that we've been working on at practice. So a lot of things have to happen here, really, Carl, to make this a great concept. And it comes down to, once again, that timing. I'm going to show you here. Okay, we got our X here and our tight end. We're going to see these two guys break out at the exact same time. This takes timing. This takes work. This takes execution. When they do that, that pulls that safety wide open touchdown. Any questions about that, Carl?
Yeah, because I know a few weeks back, maybe it was about a month ago, you were doing the whiteboard and talking about, if it's not open deep, there could be someone maybe underneath. And it seems like you're giving the quarterback many options to choose from, and yet the quarterback has to make that read and know where to go with the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and that comes from reps at practice. He has to know, where we're looking, what we're trying to do, what's the concept. Quarterback has to understand the concept. Then the receiver's got to know the concept. Who am I trying to run off? Who am I trying to take away to open up space for another receiver? And really, that was Kyler Huckfeld opening up space for Nick Weidler. And Henry Geethy doing the same thing. This is why passing is hard. This is why you just miss that little bit of timing. That little bit of timing is the difference between a first down and a touchdown, or in this case, 2nd and 11 turns into 3rd and 11 when we don't execute. And the quarterback did a great job all night. I mean, he's 13 of 16. This is one. Our timing's a little off. Okay? Now, right? Now is when that ball needs to be delivered. Cam's sitting here. Quarterback sitting here. Look at the beautiful pocket here. All right, now that ball has to be delivered right now. We wait a half a second. Now comes the pass rush. Now you see that rush. Now Cam's got to move. Now you're going to see the safety have time to break on the ball, and you don't have a good pass play. It's the margins, right? It's that little bitty margins that it takes to have a successful passing game.
Yeah, and it looked like the quarterback was pretty much clean all night. We saw the same type of protection from the O-line. That certainly has to go into the equation of having those type of stats where he just had two incompletions.
It's number one. It's number one. If we can't protect it, then what are we doing, right? And, we've seen the last 2 weeks some good improvement up front in our offensive line. We changed up a few schemes with how we want to protect the quarterback. And the quarterback did a good job. Later on in the game, he had somebody right in his face. He steps up and he delivers. That takes it. You got to have it to do it. And so, hey, start throwing the ball, okay? And then now it's time to kind of get back to what we do. Get the shoulders square. One thing we worked on with our backs all week, okay, we were getting a little angle towards that hole. That's hard to see the hole, and you're easier to tackle. We need to get our shoulders square to the hole, see the hole, get in it, and then you're harder to bring down. And this is just old school. Seckman Football's on the 6-yard line. We're getting downhill. We're scoring a touchdown. So that was fun to see us really start to get back to that. All right, this concept here again, once again, hey, I'm expecting teams to start kind of taking notice of number 1, starting to take notice of number 13, number 23, right, when they're on the field. Northwest sitting in single high, okay, bringing the safety down into the box, okay. Look at the space. How are we using the space, right? Press, vertical, pop, come back. Quarterback gets the ball out quick. Look at the space when we catch the football. That's a tough tackle to make on your own. I like our guy in that situation. Let him go to work. Not a super complicated passing concept there. All right. This is another one. This is us getting back to what we do. This is a great run here by Chance Rubel. Look, we're not breaking 40, 50, 60-yard runs like we're used to, right? But don't get tired of the 7, 8, 9, 10-yard runs. That wears a team down. That's reality, right? This is a great football play. Chance does a great job. He's sitting here. He has an opportunity here to pop this out, which is a mistake we've been making, right? He's setting up his blocker. This guy's sitting in this hole. He pops out. He's going to get tackled. Does a great job setting him up. Let Zach Sell get up to his fullback. Cuts back inside. Gets his shoulder squared. Gets upfield. 8-yard gain. Those are pretty demoralizing to a defense. So great concept there. We just kind of, this route here, we set it up early in the game. We saw where we just missed that timing on Cam's little spot route. Okay. Well, now, same concept. Okay. You're going to see this little stutter. All right. We've been sitting in this hole right here. You see this safety already. His feet have stopped because he wants to break here. His feet have stopped. We've learned on our defensive side, when your feet stop, you're toast. All right, Cam gets his stutter step. He understands the concept, what he needs to do to set him up. Now he's going to create that space. Pop. Easy pitch and catch. All right, something to do. I see him do at practice all the time. Northwest bringing a lot of pressure off the edge. Quarterback has a little less time. Does a great job of making space in the backfield, not losing cool, right? Delivering the ball where it needs to go. Really just trying to set up some examples of what's happening here, on our base concepts. None of it's groundbreaking. Mehlville's watching our film. They're seeing the same thing. There are no secrets here of the space we're trying to create. Coming back to this concept here. All right, it's one we came back to earlier in the game. Okay, that four verts where we're trying to cover 4 zones in the field. Okay, now we're putting this guy in conflict right here. What's he going to do? All right, he stays inside just a little too long, right? Went with that post route here, creates this seam right here. This is a hard pitch. That's tough to do. First off, way to deliver the football. You see the quarterback, he's getting crunched on this one. Second, okay, Kyler Huckfeld's got to adjust on the ball in the air. Makes a great play. Normally, we only have one guy that can make a play like that and adjust his body. We've got 3 or 4, right? That's tough to cover. And then what do you know? We're on the 6-yard line. We're getting square. We're getting downhill. We're moving bodies. And it's old school. I like that.
We certainly do.
That makes my heart feel a little bit better.
Yeah, it was just a great game to watch, and seeing the dynamic of the passing game come to life like that. And then, just like you said, the old school Seckman that we all love and appreciate, just, bodies moving downhill and, dictating the line of scrimmage to give the best.
That's that balance you want to keep building on. And as you move through the season and you're peaking in the playoffs, that's the balance you're attempting to achieve. And teams got to, the goal here now, Carl, okay, hey, look, we got 8 guys in the box here. The goal here eventually would be now, hey, teams start taking this guy and moving him back here. Now you've got 7 in the box. Now how do you take advantage of a too high safety look? So that's going to change your concepts. This right here, Carl, evolution of Coach Baer, 4th and 1. We ran Rhino out there. They called a timeout. We all know what we like to do on 4th and 1. I looked at the offensive coordinator. I said, let's get 10 flood in the game. All right, we've talked about all of our flood concepts. It's a basic concept we got. Look at all the guys sucked in here at the line of scrimmage. Okay, this guy's supposed to be covering the flat. He's supposed to be, he steps up, creates that space. 4th and 1, Seckman Football's throwing the ball. Now we're giving you something to think about, right? That's that balance. Are they running? Are they passing? Is he going to be one step slower next time we run power there, right? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that's what helps us. That's what helped Coach Connor as a play caller. That's what's going to help us as an offense, okay? Once again, this is just about getting, like, the 3 touchdowns where we scored, 3 of them, we're just getting the ball out quick to an athlete, all right? You're going to get a quick little orange route, or excuse me, our little out route here. You've seen us run. This guy's got a little bit of inside leverage. You're going to watch Cam create the space. His hip, see that? See how he got his hips to turn? That's a tough move because now Cam's breaking out. Cam's not head is not even turned around. Quarterback's getting the ball out. That's some space. That's a tough tackle to make. Whoop. Spin move. I gave Cam some trouble because I haven't seen us work that spin move at practice. He told me he's been working that one at basketball practice. That's the spin move Coach Carroll taught him with the basketball. That's a 3-sport athlete right there. That's why we love our multi-sport athletes, taking things from other sports and bringing it to the field. So we're going with that, Carl. So I thought, a good opportunity this week, show you that balance, right? That we want to achieve. Are we going to drop back and throw it 30 times? I don't think so. We'd have a real problem there, right? That team's got to know what you're doing. But if you can achieve that balance, have a mix of the play action, of the quick game, and then now, hey, that power run game, that keeps the defense on their toes. So certainly more to prepare for, and excited to see how it develops through the night. We were clicking Friday night. There could come a Friday night when we're not, right? That execution's not quite there. So now we got to lean on the run game a little bit more. Or, hey, that run game, their D-line up front, not getting it done. We got to get the ball out on the perimeter. So Coach Connor, our offensive coordinator, does a great job, and got a lot of faith in him and a faith in both the quarterback, the offensive line, the receivers, to keep a balanced attack.
Yeah, and it's evident. I mean, you mentioned it, like the defense doesn't know what to cover, and then you go against your typical tendency. They really don't know what to do. And then, that last play that you showed, the guy was on one-on-one, just like in college, I imagine, and in the pros, you see one-on-one, that's where the ball's going.
If you like your guy better than their guy, or you think it's a 50-50 shot, it's worth the shot,
Yeah, well, a very exciting game, and of course, we're fortunate enough to host another game on Friday. And Coach, we're about a third of the way through the season, and so wanted to, and you touched upon it a little bit, just get your thoughts about how it's progressing. I know from the podcast you have mentioned that each and every week you want to make get better. Essentially, is what you're saying. Wanted to just break down, and we're having fun with AI as well. Just your thoughts about how the first third of the season has gone for you.
Yeah, I went a little politically correct with our report card here and just put a B, right? We're doing well, but we have to keep improving. We're a third of the way through the football season, the regular season, right? We're kind of getting an idea of what guys can do and where we need to improve. If we're seeing the same mistakes show on film every week, every game, those are places we got to improve on. And we've really challenged each position this week to get better at that detail. Each coach stood up in front of the team, talked about where their position group's going to get better this week. Offensive line wise, I told these guys, when I turn the film on Saturday morning, these are the improvements I want to see. And offensive line wise, it comes down to knowing your responsibilities, being confident in who you're supposed to block, and building that wall. If it's a power, or it's a sweep and you're supposed to down block, you're not stepping out. Down block. Get to your down block, get to your double team. So we're going to be hard on them this week there. And I'll tell you what, that offensive line from week one has taken some real improvements here in the next couple of weeks. And when it comes to offensive backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, you're not satisfied. Continue to develop the timing, continue to develop the concept so we can expand on what we're doing. Don't be satisfied with one good performance. How can we improve our timing just a little bit better? How can we improve our route running, that space just a little bit better this week? And then block. I want to see us blocking this week, on well. And tailbacks, you saw the improvement this week. Get downhill. Get your shoulders square. Get us that 3 to 4 yards. We don't need you to break at 80. Okay, we want 7 or 8. Getting us in good field position. And we saw that Friday night, but we're going to continue to get better at that this week. And when you flip to the defensive side, our DBs, I want to see the footwork. I don't want dead feet. We got to get moving. Mehlville's going to be a passing football team, very pass heavy, good quarterback. He can sling it. If he's got time, they got receivers on the edge. We have to have our feet moving. Back pedal, either break up forward or kick a good 45-degree angle cut to break on your pass play. Linebackers, we have to continue to trust our reads. Trust your reads and get downhill. Right now, we're watching a lot of eye candy. We got to get away from the eye candy in the backfield, get our reads where they need to be, and trust them and go. And then when it comes to the D line, Coach Jackson challenged his team this week, or his group this week. We want to pass rush. We know these guys are going to pass. There's going to be an opportunity to get to the quarterback, and we want to have a picnic every day, or excuse me, every play at the quarterback and get a few sacks. So a lot of positives to this point, but this is where our football team cannot take a step back this week. We have to keep improving, and then we'll see if this group is mature enough to do that at practice today. So.
No, I appreciate you, giving an evaluation of where you currently stand, because you touched upon it. You're coming up against Mehlville. They're a pass-heavy team, from what you're saying, and certainly as we get into deeper into the season, you may encounter teams like this a little bit more. I know Oakville seems to throw the ball quite a bit, but we have Mehlville coming to the Valley. For those not familiar, and again, you talked about their pass heavy, can you tell us a little bit about the Mehlville program?
Yeah, well, look, I told the boys yesterday, every week we get together to practice is a gift. Every Friday night that we get to play in the Valley is a gift. And this week and Friday night needs to be treated as such. It's a blessing and deserves nothing but your best. And, we've talked about the things we want to get better at this week. All those things build towards what Mehlville does and how we plan on, going out there and continuing to have a balanced offensive attack in the run game and in the passing game. And then defensively, if we know that these guys like to move the ball in big chunks to their receivers, all right, well, we got to have our multiple coverages ready to go. We got to have our feet ready to go. Linebackers, we're throwing in a few different blitz packages, linebackers, D-line, to make sure we get pressure on the quarterback. Know your responsibility. And, Mehlville, very storied program. The last couple of years, I know that they're kind of going through their ups and downs, but they've been peeling out 3 or 4 victories a year, against teams you wouldn't expect sometimes. And they're a team that if you're not locked in, if you're not executing, they're going to shut us down on offense. If we're not locked in, if we're not focused on defense, they're going to score on big plays over the top of our heads. So, Coach Heineman, like I said, they've won a lot of football games in the past. They're going to come in here ready to go, and we're ready to welcome them to the Valley.
Well, we certainly look forward to it. And of course, you can get updates on just our social media sites. We put this podcast both on Facebook and YouTube. Also, this is up on our friends over at Livestream STL. They were in the house on Friday for the Northwest game, so it's always good to see that crew out there. And Coach, as we get ready for the big matchup, wanted to give you the floor and have you take us out today.
Yeah, want to address last Friday a little bit after the game. I know a little bit of controversy. People weren't allowed on the field after the game, and I don't know what the hell. I just remember standing there talking to the kids, and I'm thinking, then I'm talking to some coaches, and I turn around, I'm like, where is everybody? And then I kind of figure out, what happened, what went wrong, things like that. Sounds like a real big miscommunication. And we're going to get it fixed this week. Now, that procedure might look a little different, okay? And I'm talking with admin on how we can make sure we get our families down to the field. I've talked a lot about how that time is important. Spend a lot of time and energy and effort, right, throughout the week at practice. All culminates to Friday night. Coaches are spending time away from their families. Kids are spending time away from their families. Families are supporting the program. Win or lose, we want to be able to be together after and break it down. Talk about the live moments. High five, hug, shoot, sometimes cry. And that's a special moment. So that's something that we're going to continue to have. Just speaking, with early terms, and I'll have an email come out. It's just going to be a little bit delayed, I guess you could say. People that want to come down are going to come down and on the fence line. We'll break it down, and that's when the bosses will open up the gates. everybody will come out and do their thing. And I'll have a little bit more direction in an email coming out this week. But, wanted to apologize. I mean, I told people all the time, I feel like, we've been able to do what we do because we've given a lot of access to our community. We've welcomed our community. And I mean, shoot, we're standing on this podcast talking all the time. I'm out and about at Junior Jet. Like, we built what we built because we have let the community in. We don't want to lose that. We are tight knit. We are a family, and we want to be able to celebrate that on Fridays after the game. So we're still going to get to do that. Might just look a little bit different as far as a delay, but we're going to be out there. We can hang out. We can make the bosses turn the lights off on us. I don't care.
Thank you, Coach, for addressing that, because that was one of the fun things. And, it's just, I think about, my son who played in the program and coming on the field afterwards. It was just a fun time, win or lose. And I'm glad that it sounds like there's a compromise in the works to make that happen, to get the families on the field and truly celebrate. And, not only it could be a victory, but just a great season. So glad that there's talk there to get that addressed. And so, Coach, I know we're coming up on time, and you're a very, very busy man. Thank you so much for joining the podcast today. And as we leave you, we're going to leave you with the In the House of the Junior Jaguar Football Program Edition. So again, thank you everybody for watching. And Coach, Roll Jags, and we'll see you on Friday.
See you guys out there.
All right. Bye-bye.